Minister, you're very welcome to the Chair today, and thank you for taking the time out to take this matter. As you know, the Household Benefit Package helps the cost of the electricity or gas bill and waives the TV licence for persons aged 70 or over, and has been of immense help to thousands of people across the country. It is a scheme which should be lauded and I think built upon. In recognition of the role played by the internet in our daily lives, I believe the inclusion of a broadband allowance as part of the Household Benefit Package is merited. In 2022, the internet is essential. It is as essential as our road and water infrastructure. People need to be connected. All the attention has been paid to social isolation during the COVID shows that very, very clearly. Social isolation has been shown to significantly increase a person's risk of premature death and reduce quality of life. The internet connects people, and the older people in our communities need that connection perhaps more than anyone. I know of an older woman whose consistent social occasions were the weekly bridge played at the local parish centre. That went online during COVID, and her family bought her an iPad to take part, and she had to learn how to use that, and she did. And she had only the Wi-Fi installed recently, and that was another monthly cost. But it was worth it 1,000 times over to still be able to see our friends and play together and maintain that social identity and connection, and to video call family members, those many countries away and across the seas, to remain even closer while apart. That's what the internet offers to older people, and if we value mental health at all in this country and equality, we'll help those people to stay connected who may otherwise struggle or be unable to do so. But it's not just anecdotal evidence that shows this. A 2020 study carried out by researchers in the University College Dublin and published in the Journal of Medical Internet Research found links between more frequent internet use and increases in well-being in older adults, from higher rates of life satisfaction to lower rates of depression. Another report by the Irish Longitudinal Study of Ageing found that some 30% of adults over 50 who live alone did not have any access to the internet. Desmond O'Neill, a consultant geriatrician, said it does suggest that there is a market for older people to get access, perhaps a subsidy. The amount given monthly by such a broadband allowance would have to be based on statistics collected by the Department in conjunction with the Department of Public Expenditure, but could be paid directly to the internet provider as a credit against the bill each month, as is the case currently with the Electric Ireland for electricity, or Bord Gáis or Flow Gas for gas. Most internet service providers charge around €35 for the first 12 months of a contract, with prices then rising to roughly €55 after that. It may not seem like much to some, but to others it is an insurmountable financial obstacle. At a time when we are acknowledging the rising cost of living and the exceptional rise in global energy prices, we should take this opportunity to ensure that our older community members are not being looked after, and that they will not be left behind. Now is the time for an opportunity to make a difference in the age-based digital divide. I also know, Minister, that the telephone allowance is there, telephone support allowance is there, and that is only €250 a week. And you have to be over the age of 70, you have to be living alone, and you have to be getting the fuel allowance in order to get that. So that really doesn't cover the cost of broadband. So I'm hoping that's something that you might look at in relation to extending the household benefit package to include the cost of broadband. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Keogan. I now call on the Minister, and you have 4 minutes to respond.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach, and thank you to Senator Keogan for this very well presented argument in favour of this allowance. The household benefits package comprises the electricity or gas allowance and free television licence. The Department of Social Protection will spend approximately €273 million this year on the household benefit package for over 484,000 customers. All proposals, including any proposal to introduce a new broadband allowance as part of the household benefit package, could only be considered while taking into account of overall government policy and budgetary considerations. Given the many competing demands for the limited funding available to the Department of Social Protection, recent budget spending increases have been targeted to ensure that it goes to those people who need the help most. Therefore, as well as increasing social welfare payment weekly rates, Minister Humphreys has increased the rate of household-based schemes such as the Living Alone Allowance and the Fuel Allowance, which are targeted towards households that are at higher risk of poverty, as evidenced by the recent ESRI research. As part of the overall welfare budget package of €600 million in increases Minister Humphreys secured for 2022, she is pleased to see an increase in the fuel allowance payment of €5 per week, effective from budget night. This brought the weekly rate of payment to €33. In addition, as part of the budget, the Minister increased the weekly income threshold for fuel allowance by €20. As fuel allowance is a means-tested payment, this ensures that it is targeted towards those in need of the payment. People who live alone would be considered amongst those most at risk of social isolation, and the Living Alone Allowance is paid by the Department in part recognition of a greater degree of challenge facing those living alone in avoiding poverty. In Budget 2022, the Government increased the Living Alone Allowance by €3 per week to €22. This increase means that since 2019, the Living Alone Allowance has more than doubled in value from €9 to €22. The household benefit package is only one of the Department's schemes. Minister Humphreys would like to put on the record that the Department of Social Protection also pays the telephone support allowance to over 137,000 customers weekly. The TSA is an allowance of €2.50 currently, which supports recipients by assisting them with the cost of communications and/or security solutions for home. The primary objective of the TSA is to support the most vulnerable people at risk of isolation, including the elderly and those with disabilities across the critical communications infrastructure. In order to receive this allowance, a customer of the Department must be in receipt of a qualifying payment and also in receipt of both the Living Alone Allowance and the Fuel Allowance. This means that the scheme is very specifically targeted at those people who need it most. Furthermore, I know that the Department of Social Protection operates both exceptional and urgent needs payments as part of the Supplementary Welfare Allowance scheme for people who have an urgent need, which they cannot meet from their own resources. These payments are available through the Community Welfare Officers Network. Thank you, Caoimhe.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you.
Keogan,
Thank you,
one
Minister.
minute to reply.
Thank you, Minister. I don't think you've told me anything new. I knew about these payments and these allowances that are allocated to the elderly. But this is a very specific allowance for broadband, and that can be a considerable cost to the elderly, and particularly those that are living on their own, that have nobody. They're very vulnerable. They're most vulnerable at those that are living on their own. And the €2.50, which I think amounts to €113 a year, that pays probably 2 months of broadband costs. So I think it's something that you can look at maybe in the public expenditure for your next budget, and maybe it's an addition that you could add on to the household benefit package. And I definitely do believe that it is. We are trying to encourage people to go online. We're trying to encourage people to, particularly now with COVID, and if anything ever happens again, particularly with pandemics, they're going to feel more isolated. So this is an ideal way of connecting our elderly to those that may not be able to get in touch with them on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister, respond.
Thank you, Caoimhe, and I thank Senator Keogan again for her remarks and the case that is presented. I will revert to Minister Humphreys with the case you have made in context of the next estimate process, and also I know the Government are underway at adjudicating on a budget potentially, or shall I say an estimate potentially for an increased package to counteract inflation, which has to be targeted as well at those who need it most. I know what Minister Humphreys has said in terms of her argument that the basis that the allowances that have been increased significantly are the ones that have been means tested to ensure that those who need them most. But again, I will relay your comments that you made here back to her. Thank you.